Good morning, Outreach. Welcome to the show wherein we discuss the state of the game in MechWarrior Online. We bring you the latest news and as much pertinent information we can cram into an hour-ish. Hot off the presses, as the expression goes. As always, let's start by introducing the USIC Irregulars.
Kablam! This is Kablam, or Petra, but mostly Kablam.
Hey, Maverick here.
Alright, it's Doc Shifty.
This is Mittens. You'll find me in-game as Dr. Ew.
And I am Avalon. You'll see me around as Avalon Guard. So we're going to start with a couple of quick announcements right off the bat, as is our normal MO. First off, another Trial by Fire sale. You're going to see the Spider 5D, the Cataphract 4X, the Atlas RS, all on sale for 50% off their MC price. While I probably wouldn't recommend dumping that much real money into either the Cataphract or the Atlas, 507 MC is approaching pocket change territory for, a grind skip. So always consider those. Keep them in the back of your mind. And next up, they gave us a picture preview of the Hero Victor coming out called I forgot to write the name down in the show notes, but I think it's Dragon Slayer?
Yep.
Much to
Yes.
Damoon's chagrin.
Yeah, it's like Damoon would know.
So visually, PGI has started to kind of keep a regular sort of visual scheme for weaponry on mechs. And from what I can tell, there's a Gauss PPC, 2 medium lasers, and 2 SRAM launchers of some flavor. That sound about right?
Yeah, the image is a little... I'm trying to think of how to describe it.
It's you can't really tell on the SRM launchers. It's not a great angle and the lighting isn't perfect.
Yeah, the left torso definitely has an SRM6 on it. It looks like there's a launcher box on the same arm as the Gauss, but I honestly don't know if there's anything actually loaded into it. The lighting is not good enough to tell.
Yeah, not to mention over there on the PPC arm, I'm now noticing there's kind of a second kind of jutting
Energy
piece of
hard
metal right
point.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's probably what it is there.
another medium laser probably.
The quick draw torso energies look like that if you have nothing put in them. Just the dark boxes.
Oh, there you go.
All right, well.
Now, one thing I'd like to note is that the default color scheme is not great. Put that thing in some USIC colors, however.
That would look awesome in Usyk colors.
Honestly, I'm a
Bright
little
white
disappointed
stripes.
with this camo pattern. Like, a lot of them have been really, really, really good, and this one's just kind of like, eh. I am hoping there's some, lore justification for it that I don't know.
It has a big sword on it. Does that count?
That's about the only distinguishing feature.
This camo would look really good on a Jaeger.
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing, because I believe the Victor and the Jaeger mech, I think they're both kind of Davian famous mechs. So that scheme, well, at least the camo, that's very reminiscent of the Davian kind of parade style, from what I understand and know.
Well, that makes sense if it's a canon thing.
Is Davian and FRR pretty antagonistic towards each other then?
That I don't know. My lore is not up to snuff there.
Oh.
Okay, but as usual, these hero mechs are 75 MC a ton, so cost should be 6,000 MC, which is right around $30. So pricey, but if it's anywhere near as fun as the heavy metal, it could be quite worth it.
$30 MC purchase gets you, what, 65?
I believe so. I haven't dumped an amount like that in a while.
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah, this will probably clock in at the same price as the Pretty Baby.
Yeah, 65.
Yep.
I mean,
So, sorry, go ahead.
it's just, I think it's kind of interesting. I mean, I kind of get why it might have a lighter weapon loadout, because it is going to have jump jets, and since it's an assault, it's got the 2-ton jump jets.
Right.
You think it might have a massive engine in it, so it can actually go out and slay dragons?
Uh, maybe.
Yeah, it's a big fat maybe. I mean, a lot of the hero mechs lately have had bigger engines, but with the Victor, I don't think that's really known for being all that quick. But, you know.
I mean,
So,
the stock Victor comes with the 320, so
oh, does it?
yeah, the stock comes 320, 64.8 base speed. So I mean, it wouldn't be a huge jump to jump up to like a 375 in it and be able to get up over 80.
Right. So, real quick, we have a late edition, but as they say, better late than never. Everybody welcome Cabe Odellis.
Hi.
Welcome, sir.
Hey, Gabe.
You have any thoughts on the Dragon Slayer, Cabe? Have you seen the picture and speculated?
Oh, the new Victor.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the picture. I just haven't really gotten a good look at the what weapons might be on there.
So it looks like a Gauss PPC SRM6 2 medium lasers.
Uh, Sounds an awful lot like heavy metal to me.
Indeed. So before we kind of move into our little Acid Devs blurb, I think I just need to put it out there that if you haven't heard of Project Phoenix, and I'm certain people listening here are probably well familiar with it already, you should really go check that out on the MWO website because I'm gonna burn my swear jar here. Holy shit!
Yes. We also did our special review of it on Tuesday, so you can look in our past videos and check that out if you're interested.
Yeah, sorry I missed that. I was being more nerdy than BattleTech could possibly cause one to be. And we'll leave it at that.
Impossible.
I know, right?
Yeah,
I think
mean,
we're approaching critical mass here.
But so real quick, we did have an Ask the Devs drop, but as it's I don't want to say it was useless because they never really are. It's always good to get some communication from the devs, but it's kind of continued on this downward slope of bombshell quantity. I mean, there was nothing in there, in my opinion, that I felt was really all that interesting. They even said right off in this one, well, of course, Brian Ekman as usual, regarding community warfare and clans, I'm holding off on answering questions that were placed in this category for now, as we near a more official post regarding community warfare / clans. And I kind of went, aw.
Yeah, so right off the bat, pretty much all of the most interesting stuff is off the table.
Boo.
I'm sure there were lots of questions about what loyalty points were and all that.
I mean, no point in wasting time answering questions like that when we're all gonna know very soon, hopefully.
Yeah, but the questions they did answer.
Yeah.
they dodged everything in this one. Like we were discussing it the other night, I think when we were messing around playing, but like if you're not going to answer important questions in this, don't do it. Like just take a week off, be like, listen, we don't have good answers for you. We're still figuring this out. Which I mean,
even
honestly,
keep silent.
yeah, they, yeah, they were almost snarky. I think Petra had said.
Yeah, I'm not dog. I'm not a fan of how I don't know. It just seems like these answers are getting less and less useful, and I feel like maybe they should have someone else answer them, or maybe you should just take a step away from the table because I'm sure they're getting lots of frustrating questions, and that's affecting the tone of their answers, which
Well, and
is
it's
not
like
good.
the big issues right now are balance, community warfare, really. And if they're going to take community warfare off the table, there's only so many questions you can answer that people want to hear the answers to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to just state out right here, like, these next couple sentences are going to be my personal views, and they don't reflect anyone else's views, experiences, or opinions than my own. But right now, they need to say something about the meta, quite frankly. And not seeing it here was really disappointing. Now, I'm not going to get, delve into it anymore or go on a rant fest, but I really feel communication is needed on that front.
Everything meta aside, the thing I was really disappointed with is I know specifically like Tog and I had a couple of like softball questions about other things. Like I asked about the torso turning formulas being officially released, so we didn't have to reverse engineer them. I think Tog asked something else silly about like the heat, like how's the heat calculated in the mech lab, and they were
Oh, the
just
heat
completely skipped over with those two. So like I don't know, this one just really felt like they didn't try at all.
Yeah, and I think that would be really interesting for, anybody paying attention to the Ask the Devs. Probably more interesting than yet another question about, hey, can I get my vulture? Oh, sorry, Mad Dog.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to like kind of sound whiny because they didn't answer my question because they've actually been really, really good about answering the ones I've posted in the past. So, but like for such a light Ask the Devs where they weren't even touching community warfare, it seemed like a good time that they could have actually dropped this information, especially since we were promised it like 2 Ask the Devs ago and still don't have it.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they were expecting a whole lot of Project Phoenix questions, and then didn't get that.
Oh,
That's because everybody bought it already.
yeah, there's no question.
Yeah.
It's just like, all right, yeah, here's my
Now
money.
it's just waiting.
The only question was the one in the fact: what payment methods do you accept?
Yes.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think we can all come to a consensus that we like the concept of Ask the Devs. Let's get some real dev answers. So we'll leave that where it is. We could probably. There was one question in there that I appreciated, but I think they've kind of answered before. It's a question relating about what are your plans for getting more lights and mediums onto the field. I think that's kind of related to the meta. And their plans are pretty much rewards, along with expanded roles for lights and mediums, along with some limitations on drop weights, will all contribute to a more diversified battlefield. So that is a line of thought they should follow and follow through on.
Indeed. So I think we're mostly skipping Phoenix tonight, right? Since we did the cast Tuesday.
Yeah, I think we beat
pretty much
Phoenix to
solely
death.
focused on it.
Well, I missed the cast, so I think we should spend another hour and a half on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll give you the highlight. Shit, yeah, Project Phoenix.
Good enough
All I
for
have
me.
to say is claws. Claws and gigantic shoulder-mounted weapons. I love it.
Yes. Avalon, my recommendation to you, as well as everybody else, is check our archives for Tuesday's cast, where we talk about the different variants we'll probably be put in. And if anybody still doesn't know, the variants are loaded in the Busick Mech Lab, as well as I'm going to be putting in a temporary placeholder for the Victor with what we think the weapons are going to be and the engine sizes, so you can have fun. Just please note it's speculation until Tuesday.
Yep. Round of applause for your local Mech Lab developers. Maverick and Petra. Well done. Well done.
Meh.
Yay.
So let's dive into what is going to be the meat of our cast today. So, in short, they are reworking movement code. In long, what's going to happen is that slopes are going to start affecting your mech speeds, and they will affect your mech speeds differently depending on the mech chassis. They're calling it the slowdown angle. No mech can walk on slopes that are 45 degrees and up, and between values of 20 degrees, which is their speed lowering threshold, to that 45 degree mark, you have different tiers of mechs that suffer slowdown at different slowdown angle values. So can one of you guys do me a favor and post that link in the chat? That'll probably help clear it up.
Yep, I'll do it.
because if you don't know what I'm talking about, that sounds like gibberish, quite frankly. So, what are people thinking? Just looking at the list here of how they're kind of dividing the chassis up, they're kind of providing some little itsy-bitsy nerfs to certain chassis.
Haha, Raven.
Yup.
Yes,
Haha,
haha, Raven.
catapult.
Ha
Needed
ha,
that.
Raven.
If we can go back to the Raven thing real quick, I very much like that one because back when I piloted lights, which was a spider, the difference in speed was so negligible I really couldn't escape and have enough armor left to live at all. And even with jump jetting over things, you lost so much speed going up and coming down, they would just go around it or over it and stay on top of you. But if they have to go significantly slower to get over those same hills, you can't escape from them as another light now.
The one I was a little disappointed on is the Stalker being smaller than the Atlas.
Yeah, I was disappointed by that too until I realized that Stalker isn't actually very like mobile anyways. So I feel like if they put that in the huge, that would make it even less mobile. Should be too much of a nerf. I don't know.
I'm okay with that.
I mean, the thing's already a boat. Do you really want to make it a really, really slow boat?
Listen, I don't know what you're talking about. My Stalker is nimble as hell.
Well, just because you jam the fastest engine you can in everything that you drive doesn't mean that.
It's so easy with stalkers, though.
Yeah, really,
I
Stalkers,
mean, what else
you
are you gonna do?
pretty much run at 300 at minimum.
That's true.
You kind of have to get those engine heat sink slots.
Yeah,
it's not just the engine
man, those
heat
things are
sinks.
required.
It's not just the engine heatsink slots. You gotta have the engine ratings so you can turn.
Yeah.
And by turn, I mean pretend to turn, because even then it's still horrendous.
Yeah.
Actually, I just realized in the huge category, Atlas, Highlander, Victor, both the Highlander and the Victor have jump jets, right?
Yep.
Correct.
Oh, sorry, Atlas guys.
Yeah, but they're 2-ton jump jets, and if the jump jets slow you down, or have the whole stop when you collide with things as well,
Oh,
are the jump jets gonna be affected by that?
Oh, that's
I'd
a good
assume
question.
so.
Yeah,
Then
Which
they would need
means-
to have more than just one jump jet, which is what a lot of Highlanders have, just the one, just to get
So
up.
you're
Yep.
gonna have to completely clear an obstacle to get over it.
So you'll need your 8 tons for 4 of them or whatever.
Uh-oh, that's
Where does it say anything about jump jets? Because I haven't seen that.
Well, it's forward movement. So,
People are saying when you collide with something or whatever, and like with the angles on the ground, the forward movement grinds down to a halt. So you'll use jump jets to get over things, but if you pilot a jump jet mech, you notice a lot that when you're jump jetting, your legs will still hit it. Same with the ground. Will that slow you down?
Oh.
yeah, if you're trying to jump jet over a building and you clip it, you're, like, as they explained it, where they didn't specifically mention it, but they explained building collisions, like, as you hit buildings, it will basically grind you to a halt till you clear yourself from the building, which, as it should. If I'm wondering if your legs clip it, if you're basically going to get, like, stopped in place.
All
And
forward
I'd be
momentum
okay with
stops.
that, but if that's the way it's going to be, they need more vertical lift then.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, in most mechs with jump jets, if you want to clear something without hitting your legs, you're going to burn about half of your fuel jump jetting early just so you can do that, so you're not going to be able to get as far as you really should be able to.
Even with max jump jets, you're not that nimble unless you're like a spider. And those.
Yeah. And you
12.
still hit your legs all the time with those.
Not with 12. 12, you are. 12, you're good.
Listen, I'm just super excited because this is the first half of the collision model coming back in mech to mech. Because they pulled out reduced speed. This was in before. For anybody that's like joined like in the last couple of months, back in closed beta, it used to slow down going up hills. I don't think it was affected by mech. It was just by the angle of the hill generic across the board. But this is something that was in, and it got pulled out when they pulled collisions out, because they're all like, it's all using the same net code, and we can't have it in, and reasons, which I never fully understood.
Well,
Dragon Bowling was just too much fun.
Well, they fixed Dragon Bowling separate from everything else.
But yeah. I think it was just the fact that griefers would just collide endlessly into a target just to keep them in the knockdown animation for minutes at a time.
Well, fuck, if you want to stop PPC snipers, suddenly you gotta
Up and
worry about
down.
that Sprinturian knocking you over nonstop. Maybe.
PPC snipers didn't exist back then either.
I know. Just saying. One Sprinturian could take out an entire team of PPC snipers. Because he'll get back up faster.
I
I
think
am
what they
okay
I
stated
don't
with
think
was
they
that.
actually did get out faster. I don't think that was affected at all.
I'm pretty sure smaller, like the
don't
bigger
think
the
they
engine
got
ring, the
up
faster you
faster.
got up.
it was
Uh.
just the smaller mechs, their models seemed to settle quicker, so it would start the animation sooner.
Right. Well, they had less mech to hit the ground with.
And it didn't like, oh, here's a little bit of geometry, time to
the
vibrate
weird rolling.
somewhat.
Either way,
Right.
if this is back in, that means they've probably got their hitbox system worked out well enough where they can at least contemplate putting collisions back in.
And I kind of like this coming. I mean, they've said they're putting collisions back in, and I like this coming in before collisions do, because like you said, a lot of people played it without collision, and there's not really any reason to throttle your speed or really pay attention to what you're gonna hit right now. But with this coming in, you'll have to start to realize that stuff and pay attention to surroundings, and that will be almost like a primer for collisions coming back.
Oh, this is going to be just an absolutely glorious patch. I cannot wait.
Yeah, I love the grinding to a halt when you walk against the walls, because the worst thing is finding like a light mech that gets stuck on a wall, and then it just turns slightly and just slips out like a freaking bar of soap. Totally ruins your
Yep.
shot.
Or
Yeah.
the light mechs that run into Atlas's face because they can just phase through them like.
The clipping through is just the biggest headache of mine.
Yeah, I mean, we're still gonna have to deal with that, but
Yeah, give it not too much longer, and we'll be able to deal with all of these crazy kamikaze light brawlers who think it's okay to get into a firefight with an Atlas and his 7 buddies. Well, maybe. But it'll be fun. I miss collisions, quite frankly.
I just can't wait to see how River City plays out now.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to relearn how to drive a mech again.
So many sitting targets.
So shall we delve into some map analytics, analyzation, whatever
Analytics
we're
works.
doing. I
Sure.
like it.
Yep. I've
Let's
got
start
So River City.
Alpine is up first. Sorry.
Alpine is
Alright.
up first.
We're
Alpine,
going
let's go.
alphabetical order due to technical limitations.
So right off the bat, Alpine Peaks, I notice the southern portion. I jumped into testing grounds earlier today to kind of scout it out a bit. The original quick route that light mechs would like to take from the upper starting base to the Kappa Point, which is on the southwest portion of the map right there, that original route is now going to be, well, there's a solid line of red right there in the way, so that's probably not going to be usable. But there is that kind of semicircle starting directly south of the base there.
We don't know
So-
for sure, because 45 degrees isn't like a full stop. It's you slow down faster and you'll eventually stop. But I mean, if you build
Well,
up enough speed, you can sprint up
It
a
depends on your
45.
mech.
Yeah, it depends on the mech, and we'll see. Like some of those cliffs right there are pretty sheer. So I'm thinking even with the fact that it's not going to be, a straight stop, that path below the bases might end up being useful. Maybe, kind of, sort of. I mean, it's quite a detour. I ran it myself in a spider earlier, and it's quite a jaunt, but it's completely obscured. It's really isolated, so anybody looking to back cap the upper base might be able to use that route to their advantage with this new setup.
I mean, it's still Alpine, and another curious thing is the obvious way this stops the whole peekaboo alphaing is if you're building up speed to get over those hills, you have to learn not to carry yourself past it and then just completely expose yourself.
I think the biggest nerf to this map is, man, I don't even know how to describe this properly, but if you're starting on the, northern base, you're screwed.
Yeah, the low side.
Like, you're on the low ground on this map, and I honestly, like, I don't even get what you're supposed to do at this point.
Well, if I'm looking at this, and the southern base there, for the assaults, it's now a fair walk around to get positioned.
That's
Where
true.
normally you
original
just head
path, yeah.
straight, then bump up that middle path, and slide right into Epsilon.
That's very true.
Now you
I
just can't do that.
Well, maybe I'm a little skewed because I haven't been doing that anyway. I've been going the long way around, to go flank Epsilon from the
behind
far
that
side,
Oh, yeah,
to
absolutely.
keep cover. So maybe I'm a little skewed with that, but like it's actually not that. It doesn't take that much longer to just take a straight shot on the backside of the mountain behind Epsilon.
Well, and to be fair, you also run the largest XLs in your assaults, and most people don't.
I guess, but I don't know. I just. I don't know.
Here's what I see is the issue is that with this current new setup, it is going to be really difficult for the lower starting base to get to Epsilon safely. So they are encouraged to go around maybe through that straight road up the canyon on the south part there to the main base. But number one, nobody takes that route. Number two, scouting right now is not exactly a thing.
Well, number 3, you still are walking through like a kill zone for anybody that's standing up on top of that mountain and can depress their guns.
And about that mountain, now it's if your team, who's going to take it is going to be the southern starting team. If they take that middle mountain, you've only got the one way in.
Right.
Whereas before you could go from Kappa/Gamma side, and now you're stuck from walking into the open on Epsilon. That's the only way to get up there, it looks like.
Yep.
So it's like, sure, come attack us. There's a nice kill box here. If you don't want that, we can just kill you on the rest of the map from here.
It looks like there might be one path. I need to actually pull this up in a larger version.
Yeah, from the top of that mountain, you can't even take their base. Like if they're on the top of the mountain, you can't even go around and take the base because that's covered from the mountain site too.
It may, however, be somewhat difficult to actually get on top of the mountains, though.
It looks
Nope.
like those little
To get there,
gullies.
You can still get up. It looks like there's 2 paths coming out of Gamma. There's still 2 paths you can just shoot right up and take that mountain right away.
so that still only helps the southern team then.
Yeah, I don't know if like an Atlas is going to be able to get up super fast, but mediums can get up and do fire suppression.
Well,
I know
Atlas
they've
load on
meant-
angle is 20.
Yeah. So anything that's probably tinged like barely green-yellow is probably what's going to start affecting an Alice.
Yeah.
But I guess what we can take away from this Alpine map is too long didn't read. Alpine is still broken and silly.
All right.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite map. On Conquest, I think it operates a little better because you use other parts of the map. But if you've seen heat maps of Alpine, half of the map is not even used.
You know, it
Alpine
might be
heat maps are like old caustic heat maps.
it might be
Yeah.
interesting for Alpine to actually rotate where the starting bases are instead of kind of being in like the northwest and southeast corners. Have it in the northeast and southwest corners. That way you can at least you don't have a side that's completely high up and completely down in the valley. That northeast corner, I think, is fairly high ground compared to the northwest corner.
I actually like that because the low ground of the southeast corner is countermanded by the fact that there's cover, whereas
Right.
in
Yeah,
northeast there is that open channel that you could take, but you can also dip into the mountains and such. It's an issue of the fact that the bases are starting, even if they removed all that cover, you have high ground versus low ground, and that's never balanced.
And even if you swap the bases like that, that means now it's the north side that gets instant access to the top of the hill. The south is still at a disadvantage.
I
Oh,
think
that's
what
very
you
true.
do there is at the south is you actually make a dedicated path to walk up though.
Yeah.
Give them a bridge
I
or
mean,
something.
if you're going to go that much effort to completely change the flow of the map, you give them a path up.
Well, I
Mid-
think if you're gonna go through that much effort to completely change the flow of the map, you scrap Alpine and make a new map.
You know, as fun as this, I actually disagree because this takes a lot of effort to do the
Well-
maps like this.
Here,
Oh,
try
yeah,
this.
Yeah,
definitely.
did you read that article?
They should make a big tunnel.
Well,
or
here,
something.
Mittens, I think, actually kind of landed on a good point here. What if you put a bridge that's kind of to that central mountain point from that south elevated position across that valley that has the road running through it to the southern base?
A
Does that
mech
make
ski
sense?
lift.
So what that would do is the southern, if the bases moved to northeast and southeast, they would be able to use the southeast would get easy access to the middle, just like the northeast would. It would be kind of like the bridge in River City.
I like that.
So if I had come up with that idea a while ago, I would have probably thrown something haphazard together in paint and shown people what I'm talking about. But I think Mittens may have just landed on a way to make this map a lot more dynamic.
The nice thing about that too is if you start taking the bridge and they've already got that covered, you can always use that crazy bottom path and go around.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of taking a leaf out of Canyon Network's book, so to speak.
All right. Well, Av, when are you around this week?
Often, and I'll just leave it at that.
You want to shoot for maybe like a Thursday night? We'll work something up and maybe do like a 30-minute special on this.
We might have to save it for the next week, but Thursday night is a little holiday we Americans like to call 4th of July, is it not?
Oh,
America.
yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't pay
I've
attention
already-
to holidays.
I've already used my swear jar, so I can't sing the Team American theme song.
All right. Moving on to Canyon.
I don't see a
Canyon
lot of
Network.
changes in Canyon.
It's gonna operate pretty
Everything
much.
changes, I
It's
think.
well. Here's the
Ye-
thing. It's going to simply be more definite as to which walls you can climb and which you can't. Before it was kind of a crapshoot.
Well, I mean, even
Before
as kind of crapshoot, you can still slide along a lot of places that it seems you really weren't meant to.
Well, I don't think you can slide anymore though with the way they're talking about collision stuff. I think
Well, yeah.
sliding's going away.
Yeah, with the sliding and these changes, I think the map's going to see some new
Yeah.
play.
I mean, the only thing that's really changes, I think, is that I guess certain areas will be even less accessible to atlases and other fatties.
I think I'm okay with that.
That's fine.
The map was already designed to keep like most surfaces kind of impassable.
Yeah, and quite frankly, I mean, I think we ranted and raved about how we liked Canyon before. It's what am I looking for? It's indicative of the good map design that when they implement the new movement code, that we don't really see a good change, a major change. Like we'll be able to just settle in quite well on this map. Just take the routes you normally take, and you should be just fine.
I think
Well, actually, there's one thing that seems like it'd be kind of cool as a changer. I mean, you see it now when a lot of mechs take heavy fire, they just back off of a hill. Well, you can back off the hill now, but now you have a jaunt to get back up it because you can't climb the hill right back.
Yeah.
Right.
So you can almost suppressing fire to make the enemy give up a position somewhere.
Again, most mechs though already couldn't climb up those steep walls.
Well,
Right.
it's not just the steep walls. I mean, there's a lot of areas that are like yellow-orangish, and even more so. And with those steep walls like that, there were still cuts that you would bounce up.
Yeah, The biggest one I can think to describe is if you look, Epsilon is the point at the very top of the map. Just remember that. And if you look coming from the rightmost starting position, you used to be able to actually get up a lot of, like, I want to say like 3 or 4 places along that first, like, pathway coming out of, first northern pathway coming out of the rightmost starting base, and
Right,
yeah.
you can't get up that now. That is a double layered cliff that
Yeah, if you look closely, it goes red, yellow, red. That means no, you can't climb.
yeah, you're not getting up that anymore, which I think is like, I used to be able to poke up on my atlas super easy in a half a dozen places, and you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, you're gonna really need to know the map because before, if you're trying to get up to the top area, you just slide along the edge until it let
Until-
you up.
Yeah,
Until you
until
And
it
you
catch
was
can't
like,
do that
alright.
anymore. So you've really got to know, and I think that's gonna change things quite a bit. Personally.
All this is going to depend on how exactly they implement the slowdown, and how quickly you
I
are
think
slowed
it's going to
down.
be pretty noticeable.
Well, with the hills like that, walking up it, it's not a slow to 0. It's just a diminished cap on your speed. The
Until you
slow
get to
really?
the slow to
45.
0, yeah. Because I got it opening and I gotta scroll up.
But it's linear down to 0
Yeah.
at 45.
Catapult, slow to angle 25 degrees. Walking up a 35-degree slope, it will be traveling 50% of its normal speed. 30 degrees, 75, 40 degrees, 25.
Yeah, so those big yellow orange spots, you'll still be able to climb those and just be really, really slow. Unless your mech
Yeah.
physically can't fit, like stalkers for some reason, just can't get up those little kind of draws in the walls there.
Yeah, but on Canyon, a lot of those yellow/orange lines have a red one sitting on top of it. And those are the no you can't do.
Yeah,
Because they've all got a 45-degree cap.
it's going to
looking at-
change the way the map plays a ton.
looking at how well, like, you look at this, and the areas where you think you could walk are a nice, cool green, and the slopes are a very angry red, yellow, like hornet mix. I almost think they designed Canyon with the movement changes in mind.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to disagree
that
with
sounds
Paul
about right.
here. I don't think it's gonna change anything. Like playing stalkers, playing all kinds of all sorts of chassis in this map. I haven't. No, yeah, I can still see exactly. Oh yeah, I can remember that place. I can climb up there in my stalker, or I can climb up there in my Jenner, but not my stalker. I don't think that's gonna change a whole lot.
Nah, and quite frankly, I'm okay with that. Canyon was a badass map to begin with, and it should continue to be just as much fun.
Actually, the one change I can see that I know is going to affect lights, I know for a fact, as a light, you could make it up that far northern, like, little sub-cliff without an issue, and now it looks like you're going to be completely walled off from that, like, when you're at Epsilon.
Oh yeah, so you're probably gonna have to plan ahead and then hug the map boundary from if you start west or east, and you have to get to Epsilon.
Yeah, because once you go down, you're done.
Or carry jump jets.
Oh yeah, jump jet mechs are gonna be so popular.
I cannot wait to get my little 1X out on this. Or, not 1X, 3. Blackjack 3.
Yeah.
Is that the... I don't even know.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
that should be the blackjack mech with the 6 energy hard points or however many jump
Yeah.
jets.
Yeah.
6 small pulse. Jump jets. Let's go.
Wub, wub, wub.
That and the Highlander is probably going to be just
Nice
all of the fun.
competition.
Yeah, I mean, in the current meta, I mean, you could probably, in the chat room, whoever, you could probably take a tally of how many times I'm going to use that phrase. In the current meta, I mean, Highlanders are probably going to show up all over the place again, and I'm okay with that because a lot of Highlanders have the majority of their firepower on the right side, unless it's a heavy metal.
Well, and that you can see it. It's almost It's like slightly to the left, off-centered of the middle of the map. The middle of the map is where Theta is. You can see that raised area with all the red around it. That is that, I almost want to say the radio tower, but that structure there. And you don't see it often, but there's still people going up and over and peekabooing over that thing, and it's like all red now.
Yeah. We made a joke the one day about how you could just walk through the fence and whatnot, and that it was not very good at keeping people out. But that
Although, if a little chain link fence had stopped my 110 mech, I would have been pretty disappointed.
have you seen
fair.
River City and the stuff you get hung up on there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we
I
need
think
to
it's
talk
started.
about that bridge in the lower city?
Oh, God.
Yeah, remember, I mean, it was bad enough they had to completely take it out. Because, nope, you're not getting up this 2-foot incline. Anyway, let's move on to Caustic.
Right, Caustic.
There was one thing I saw that jumped out. If this map
Pardon.
ever changes.
Pardon the sirens, by the way. But the Caldera, that is a
Getting out
massive,
of it.
bright yellow.
Yeah, but getting out of the caldera, look at that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
and
neat.
also interesting, like, it's not, I doubt in practice it's actually going to mean anything, but now that I'm looking at it, like, if you look on the Caldera, there are a whole bunch of little red marks just scattered all throughout there.
I think
I
those
don't
are the
think-
rocks.
I
Those
don't
will
think
slow you down. They
that's-
won't stop you.
That's really not going to change anything, because, well, it might, but I mean, like right now, when you're going up into the caldera, those are what you're sliding along, if you're not angled perfectly.
No, I think
Right.
he means the ones actually within the caldera itself. The
like in the
steam
boiling,
vents.
yeah,
No,
the boiling
that's-
lava hot portion.
Yeah.
That's right by, is it Theta in there? The rock's
Yeah.
right by the
Yeah.
cap there.
But the thing is, with those rocks, those are also the steam vents that do like the bonus heat when you're over them.
Oh, running into that and stopping, then just taking your bonus heat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
but
I mean,
those-
I've seen mechs overheat on those and never wake back up from shutdown just because they can't dissipate the heat.
I
Nope.
don't think you'll get stuck on those. That's not a very big obstacle.
No, here's
If it's
the thing.
red, it's the 45 plus. You can't move across it.
No, you can
Well,
still
it's not-
move. It'll just
You
slow you
can.
down.
It'll slow
yeah,
you down though.
45 degrees puts you 0.
Not instantly,
Well,
no.
It's
So
not
if
an
you're going
instant thing.
If you're going at 25 kph, in like a second you might be down to 0, but in that full second you're going from 25 down to 0. So you should have enough momentum to carry over that tiny little hump. Hopefully.
Well, it depends on what they use for. Like it says, potential for an extremely fast mech to gather enough momentum to travel some way up a 45-degree slope or greater. So it depends on how quickly they make it, but it sounds like they only want the lights or maybe Sprinturians having that speed to go over.
I would be very, very concerned piloting my Atlas around the caldera now.
You should be, and quite frankly, you should always have been.
Well, I mean,
Everybody should be.
I mean, if I'm in my Jenner, I can cross the Caldera in about, I don't know, 4 or 5 seconds. But, I mean, an Atlas who jumps in there and decides, I'm going to charge that guy on the hill, he should be penalized for that. I mean, it's a high-risk, high-reward sort of deal. You're cutting straight across the circle. And that
Yeah.
Caldera forever has been
a
a
death
hot
trap.
spot, so to speak.
But our through line looks a little more protected now.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can still get over in a lot of places now, and before there was still a fair amount, but it looks like they're more obvious.
The thing I'm really excited about is the what is that
Oh.
about? Probably the mountain at like H5, is it? As you're heading up towards Epsilon from the leftmost starting base.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's the sniper hill that a lot of people would just park up there. I remember
Yeah,
that.
you can't get up there now from the other. Like my biggest thing is like when when you fall back from 3-line using that as cover, or push through 3-line and the people are on the edge of the caldera and then they charge you over the top of the hill and you can't do much about it. That is gone now, and that makes me super
Yeah.
happy.
Well, yes, sharp terrain. Sharp
Well, and
terrain
then,
like that should be a deterrent and not a just. How do I put this? Sorry, this brain fart brought to you by Crown Royal Canadian Whiskey.
I mean, the hill you can still use as cover. It's just you can see it when you're in game. Is as it takes a sharp turn up, it doesn't look quite as sandy. It turns to actual rock. That's where the red's going to be.
Right. And what should be happening here is a sharp hill like that, it should not be a maneuvering opportunity. You should be able to climb over that. It's the ability to use cover and to use that to separate yourself from the enemy. And that's kind of the whole idea of putting a hill between you and the bad guys. And with this new movement code, especially here, that's actually a prime example of how this should fix kind of a couple issues with how things are.
All the peekaboo nonsense.
Yep.
And we're talking a lot about the slopes, and that's kind of the point. But the other part about this with the slowdown from collisions is excuse me, those rocks by Epsilon there, and the ones between Epsilon and that hill we were talking about, that you see mechs grind along a lot as the fight breaks out there. That's gonna start slowing people down and leaving up perfect alpha opportunities.
Yep. I don't know. I think well, that and just fighting over at the dropship farm is oh god.
Oh yeah, and actually Kappa too, because there's that one pipe that you always get stuck on.
Oh, I didn't even think about all like the debris and stuff. I wonder how that's gonna
Yeah, Kappa's gonna be
affect
interesting.
things.
I just want to say that you can still fight relatively well in the geyser area. That's still clear.
That's true.
The meta is gonna shift over there just because that'll be the one spot on the map you don't run into shit.
Everybody just goes straight to the lake.
So,
Cool
to
party.
be honest though, like looking at kind of the map, I don't think Costa Bella is going to change too much. The Caldera probably got a little bit more dangerous, and some of the hills are probably better as cover and not maneuverability opportunities. So I would not expect a lot of major changes there. It's kind of sort of the
No.
Canyon Network sort of deal.
I mean,
Yeah, I
most of
think
the
it's
fighting is at the Caldera right now, so.
Yeah, it's just going to generate a few more choke points rather than people just kind of climbing over whatever willy-nilly.
Yeah.
To take Avalon's phrase here, I think once the current meta changes away from the PPC fight at the Caldera, these other areas will start popping up.
I don't think the geysers will ever pop up.
Well, of course not.
Which is too
Not
bad.
unless
What?
they move a there was a thing on Ask the Devs about moving certain objectives around.
Just put a snow cone stand over there.
I would go there. Well, I mean, I already go there, so no win. But
Come on, it's Caustic Valley. It'll end up just being like a flavored water stand by the time we get over there. Hardy har. That was a temperature pun, see?
Alright, let's check out Forest.
on that note,
I have literally nothing to say about Forest Colony.
I see
because,
nothing really
yeah.
big changing in Forest.
what? The whole crazy I'm standing on top of the thing with the radio tower is all going to be different.
Okay, the radio
Yeah.
tower, yeah.
The
Can't
radio
climb up
tower
there.
is
See?
gone as
Well,
Well, except for jump jet mechs, but
I mean, and non-jump jet mechs really only got from the radio tower to the back, and it looks like there's still a back path.
Yeah.
A
I mean,
very
it'll be
small
slow.
one, but
You can get up there from the front too, maybe.
yeah, there's one front it looks like, but it looks like it'll really kill assaults and a few of the heavies, but still doable. 'Cause
the other
that
thing-
middle smidge looks 40 to 45.
well, the other thing I'm thinking of, it's hard to tell because I have no idea what it's going to be like, but actually within the cave itself, what's that going to look like?
I doubt it's going to be an
Oh.
issue. Except for
Well,
maybe like when you're trying to climb up
it-
to the waterfall in the back.
You climb
I
up the
don't
waterfall,
think
you've got that
there's the
giant
rocks.
rock that can stop you dead.
In the lower entrance, that sideways rock formation that goes along until it opens up. So you're pretty much forced to funnel one by one unless someone wants to walk super slowly on that, probably.
Yeah.
that has
and
kind of
you get-
been
Well, that's one thing I'm curious about is like they're only gonna slow you down going up the hill, right? If you're
I
running
s-
sideways
right.
along it, will they still slow you down? Shouldn't.
I honestly have no idea. I mean, I guess it depends on how steep the hill is.
Yeah, what I'm guessing is that when you are going along a positive grade, then it will decrease your speed. If you are going along a grade that is not changing, for example, if you're walking sideways along a hill, then they're probably not going to apply a penalty to movement.
That makes sense.
God, if they make you go faster going downhill,
They used to. It might
ooh.
be back in.
Yeah, I'm just going to put it forth right now. If there's going to be sharp slopes and they're going to increase movement speed while you're going down those sharp slopes, I want to see assault mechs falling flat on their faces and just
Like it-
falling down forever.
Like if you go more than 120% of your maximum speed, you just collapse.
Oh god, yes.
No, what you do is you just put a big spike on the front of your cicada and just spear things down hills.
Jousting?
Yes.
So let's leave Forest Colony because there's probably not a lot really, if anything,
No.
changing at all. But Frozen City, a lot of what's going to be happening here is we're going to see a lot of mechs getting stuck on buildings, which I think is hilarious, and I'm going to take advantage of that at every opportunity.
Oh,
But
so
another
much.
thing is, number one, the middle cave entrance is going to be harder to get to, and kind of the back capping areas. Like the right side of our Frozen City map here, there is this huge blob of yellow. I mean, if you're a light and you're able to avoid detection, that's probably not going to mean much, but that's kind of a huge change, to be honest.
I can tell you I am never taking my Atlas down to Theta ever again now.
Shouldn't be doing it
Yeah.
beforehand.
Yeah, come on, Mav.
There were times.
Don't be that guy.
There were times.
So, but for the most part, I think the only real major changes there are going to be buildings everywhere and light mechs running into them and getting
Yeah.
cored from the rear by Atlases.
You say
Frozen
light
City.
mechs. Did you
Frozen
see how
City.
many like heavies and mediums run into buildings?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, they have the armor to get shot at.
Well, like I said earlier, most people have never had a reason to watch your speed or buildings.
Right.
Just grind your nose along it, then turn when you're clear of it.
So, Avalon, do you think there will be any changes to the crashed dropship in the middle of the map as far as people moving in and around that?
Well, what's probably going to be happening is it'll probably stay pretty similar, but they'll put a clan mech in the middle to just assuage people so they can stop asking questions and ask the devs. You know, there's wrecked mechs inside the dropships. Yeah, one of those atlases are going to turn into a mad cat, and then everybody's going to freak out.
I'm actually surprised that the slopes by the dropship aren't steeper.
Well, it's just that it levels off so quickly, they probably said, screw it, most mechs can step over that.
And some of those sections are impassable terrain already, like the nose cone area.
Yeah.
There's parts
That's
that you
true.
just can't go over. I was noticing that on the Forest Colony, the ship that's out in the water was all part of the green just because it's impassable terrain to begin with. So
Yeah.
I guess they didn't bother mapping any inclines to it.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, it looks like, I mean, none of the buildings are red or anything. It looks like they're only talking about like the, movement mesh for things that you can walk on.
Yeah, they're not red because they're completely straight, so you're going to slow down no matter what.
Well, here, check this
Smack
segue.
it, stop. Oh,
If you look at River City, that's exactly what we're talking about. There's vertical faces everywhere, and it's quite a cool green map.
yeah.
Yeah,
But one thing I do notice is if you look at Kappa, the upper city, that is quite the ring of red around it.
It's a goddamn fortress.
I don't know if that's all that different from what it is currently.
It isn't.
Yeah, it's
Because like what it is right now is you can't walk up it, and if you have a jump jets, go walk up the yellow part and then jump over the red. It's pretty much like that. I think by
There's one spot by
say
the
the-
broken
the
bridge.
eastern, the broken bridge where you can kind of slide up it, but that's about it.
Like right at the edge of the
Right.
map.
No. There's like a spot where you can walk up right next to the bridge right now, and that's gone.
Oh, okay.
More interestingly is the you basically have to walk across the bridge coming from the upper base.
No. If you
Well-
look to the right of the broken bridge, there's a cut.
No. Sorry, from like the
From
upper
upper
city
base.
base. Sorry, the
Yeah.
lower base, Gamma or
for
Sigma.
whoever's
Sigma. Sorry.
for whoever's keeping count, here we go. In the current meta, if you're walking across that big bridge from the Upper City start, you're going to get sniped.
Now, are you
like
talking
crazy.
about going from the Upper City to Kappa?
From Sigma to
Yeah.
Kappa.
Yes.
No, because the Broken Bridge, if you look just to the right of it, that
Sigma
stops.
Sigma is the one above the tunnel. Gamma is the one by the boat in the harbor.
Here, to clarify, Sigma is going to be southeast. Gamma is going to be northwest.
Yeah, I'm looking at Sigma, and you're wanting to go that to the Upper City.
Right.
If I say the Broken Bridge, I mean that entire bridge. If you look to the right of where it connects to the Kappa part, you can climb up right there.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that. What I'm seeing, I mean, there's a couple of not bright red points. They're pretty orangish.
Oh, I see what he says.
Okay,
But-
imagine where you would normally climb out of the water to go right there on the lower section, right under the bridge.
Sure.
If you
Mhm.
climb out of the water and pretty much just cut a right,
You can get up that one
yeah, you
spot.
can get out that area.
I think what's kind of the main thing here is that these movement changes, they're not going to stop you dead on the red. They're going to cut your movement quite drastically. So you can either cut across that bridge from Upper Start to Kappa in a rather quick and orderly fashion, single file, fancy like across the bridge, or you can jump down on the water and then lose a crap ton of speed on the hills there.
Or you can flowchart your way to victory.
Right,
Or you-
Epsilon.
or you can avoid
Because
Kappa
you're not a
altogether.
cave.
Just avoid Kappa, go to Lower City, and shoot the mechs as they run into the buildings because people don't know how to turn.
oh,
'Cause-
and
Apparently, we need third-person view and stuff. So
this is specifically for me. It will have no bearing on the game at all. If you're starting from the harbor spawn and you head out into the water, along your side of the vendor building, there was always that step up in the terrain, the structure you could never climb unless you like angled and slid
Oh,
along
the
it.
seawall there? Oh, yes.
Yes. Now it's green.
Thank God.
Yeah, there is no color there. Well, besides the.
well, yeah,
natural
but is it green? Because
It's green because 0 to 20.
well, I was gonna say, is it? Could you not step up it because?
Oh, there might be still vertical aspects related.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking. Because it's a structure. Like you can still
Oh.
see it there. That's the thing. I don't think you can get up that still.
But does anyone? I don't really see anything else in River City that changes how that map's going to flow. It's just Kappa might
No.
be a little more difficult to reach, kind of in general. from
The
either
buildings
side.
are what's going to change that map as people run
Yeah.
into them and get stuck.
Absolutely.
Building collision's the big one on River City.
I do guess you could say that lights running along that very southern border of the map that they often do will be slowed down a little bit. But yeah, other than that.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a fair amount of red peppered in there too, so they'll be slowing
Yeah.
down a lot, if not stopping, depending on how much they're going to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah, all those hills up a bit behind the upper base as well.
There was that sniper hill you'd see people jump on towards the north.
It's still
You'll see
there.
it now as that completely red piece though.
I don't think it's red in anywhere that really matters, though.
Well, I mean, that hill really didn't matter to begin with. You just took yourself out of the whole match hopping up there.
Yeah. Alright, either way, let's get.
Alright, so-
this next and last
Last
map
but not
is
least,
my favorite.
Tourmaline. My thoughts on this? No change, pretty much.
What?
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 Now here's the reasoning why. Putting yourself up on top of the crystals, yeah, you gave yourself a good view of the enemy. I have lost count of the amount of times I've sniped spiders off of those crystals.
Okay, yeah, but a spider has 130 max armor.
Well, here's also the thing.
It was the hunchbacks and above getting up there.
The cataphracts and Highlanders that get up there.
Stalkers
Ken-
getting up there.
Yeah.
Well, I personally haven't run into that all that much because when you're up that high in the crystal, the only weapons that you can really use effectively are your arm-mounted ones.
Yeah, and they just hit the
Yeah.
crystals. I haven't really had too much problem with crystal sniping.
Yeah, like not at all. And what's interesting about Tourmaline with the movement changes is that with the crystals, if you couldn't move on something, you knew it was sharp, vertical facing crystals for the most part. So I personally don't see really any major change at all happening on this map.
I
Well,
don't
was
know
45
because
degrees their original stop point?
No.
I don't think
do not know.
no,
'Cause,
because you
like,
could get up the
It
map,
was like
the rocks
65
on
or
Alpine.
70.
So then you could.
A lot of areas of this map are going to now be off limits.
Exactly.
It-
Like, you may be used to what it
Tourmaline-
is now, but the changes are going to take away a lot of things.
I was gonna say Tourmaline was confusing enough that if I wanted to get from point A to point B, I would just slide along things until I got there. Like, this is gonna change that quite a bit.
And working around the downed with the jump ship, I guess.
The central
Yeah.
one or the one by Kappa?
Central.
Oh, Theta.
There's a lot of different record size going around there.
Yeah, I guess I have no real comment, quite frankly, on the flow of Tourmaline. The flow of Tourmaline was always based on the giant line of sight blocking crystal structures.
That one side got
Those
and
were-
the other didn't.
I'm not getting into that. But I just don't think the movement change is really going to affect this map as much as a lot of people think it will. I mean that's my opinion. It's
Oh,
going to
but-
play a lot the same.
But all the people standing behind like a little 5-foot ridge and then popping up over it and shooting at you and then popping back, like that will be slowed down quite a bit.
I hope so,
I don't
but
see
those
it.
yeah, I'm with Cabe. I
Well-
don't feel there's a lot of change there.
Here's another interesting thought. If you look at some of the craters, there's only one way out of the crater. So if you fall into the crater, you're gonna have to go to, like, I'm looking at probably the big one, pretty much in the center of the map. You have to go to the northwest side of that crater to get out.
That
Yeah.
one is already like
Still,
that
you're
one
gonna
though.
slow down.
No, but you
There's
can
no
get
change
out.
there.
You can get out two ways in that one. You can get out either end right now, and that's actually a pretty significant change. 'Cause
Can
that's
you
going to turn that into a death trap.
I've never seen anyone besides a light, which is really isn't going to
A
be
light's
hugely
not going to be able to
affected
get
by
out
this.
of that now, though.
I don't know. Again, this all depends on how quickly you slow down, and how exactly they implement the changes.
I think people are going to be very surprised with how quickly you slow down. I think it's going to be rather severe.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
if-
I mean,
if it's-
their wording saying it's going to be an extremely fast mech that can get over. It
Well,
sounds like it's going to be a pretty quick slowdown.
all
Because of
lights are
momentum, yeah.
extremely fast.
I mean, if you think of how fast, if you're going at full throttle and you hit X to kill your throttle dead, how fast does it take it to slow down to 0? Like about a second, maybe?
Yeah, I mean,
see
basically,
it
that's
at
how I
that
see them
speed.
implementing it. It's
With the
basically going to
generates,
be,
you hit the X button and you are dead stopped in about half a second. It's pretty quick.
yeah.
Somehow I totally see that like hard brake somehow making it easier for you to slow down on something like that. It'll just slow you down faster if you have the hard brake efficiency. I don't know why. It's just that seems like
Yeah.
something that would break.
Something PGI would let slip through
Yeah.
the cracks.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if
That'd
I
be
was doing
humorous.
this, I could see them absolutely doing like a
All right.
Like,
do we have any further
phantom
thoughts on
throttle.
Tourmaline? I mean, it seems we've pretty much kind of wrapped the whole map thing up. Does anyone have any general thoughts about movement code that need to be brought up?
I don't think
Nope.
so.
I can't find a face anywhere in this map.
I found a woo.
Oh yeah.
Woo!
So-
Oh, I see the woo. Yeah, nice.
Oh yeah, there it is. There's a double. Yep, northeast corner, right?
Woo.
Have you been doing that this entire
Yep.
time, just looking for faces?
No,
Well, there's
I was
one on
adding.
Canyon.
I was adding to the conversation with important facts.
Okay, well, that takes care of the major content on our podcast today, our broadcast. So let's close out with our usual poetry hour.
Mins?
Okay. Well, we had a very special poem written by Damoon, and it was a secret until now. This is what's known as a trimeric. I've never heard of it before this evening, but it's an interesting poetry style, so thank you to Moon. A trimeric for Petra, the Queen of Kablam, even when she's under fire from the enemy mechs. The Queen of Kablam, an artist with a space shotgun, able to keep the enemy retreating. Even when she's under the influence of a beer or 3, her shots draw forth fire from the enemy mechs as they lay face down as if bowing to their new queen.
Oh,
That's
I'm so
awesome.
touched. I'm super touched.
I had a
Thank
completely
you,
different
Damoon.
reaction to that. You're all touched, and I'm all, that's so badass!
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, kablam. All day long.
I don't think anything I have here is going to trump that. So why don't we go ahead and
Just
close
call it
out.
right there.
Thank you all for listening. Have a great day, and we will see you next week here on Good Morning Outreach.
Tuesday for Patch Day, Let's Play. As we go over stuff and watch everybody cry about movement code. Tune in, it will be great.